standard form of a linear equation looks like this. ax plus by equals c. A, b, and c get replaced with integers that are mutually prime, which means there's not a number that divides into all three of them. And a must be positive. Okay? So, I'm going to show you how that works. That's the definition of it. Show you how this works. First, just with the definition, these three things are in standard form. Those three things are not. But let's talk about this one first. ax, so a is 3. by, b is -5, equals c, 28. Okay, that's how that works. All right, in this one, a is understood 1, b is 2, c is 9. All right, that's what standard form looks like. These guys over here that are not in standard form look similar to what's over here. Okay, my question for you is going to be what's stopping them from being in standard form. There's a different answer for each. This one, kind of obvious. What's stopping it from being in standard form? The coefficients of x and the result on the other side of the equals sign are not integers. They're rational numbers, fractions. So that's what stops this from being in standard form. Now, I could get this equation into standard form if I multiply everything by those two denominators. So 3 times 5 is 15. If I multiply through this 15, 2/3 of 15 is 10 x's plus 15 y's equals 4/5 of 15 is 12. Okay, 10x plus 15y equals 12. Now, what is in green is standard form for that equation. All right, same equation, different way of writing it. This guy up here, what stops it from being in standard form? The leading coefficient. The coefficient of x must be positive if you're going to be in true standard form. So, the way I could take this and move it into standard form is, again, I can multiply through by something. All right, if I multiply everything by -1, we'll have 2x's minus 6y's equals positive 13. That blue equation would be the same as the equation above it, just in standard format. Last one, why is it not in standard form? Because the three numbers are not mutually prime. 5 divides into all of them. So the way you would move it from its current state into standard form, divide everything by the greatest common factor, which is 5. So 5 divided by 5 is 1, 10 divided by 5 is 2, 20 divided by 5 is 4. Okay, and now that would be standard form for the equation above it. All right, so standard form, coefficients are integers, the coefficient of x is positive, and the three values, the constant and the two coefficients, are not allowed to all have the same divisor. All right, that's standard form, that's what it is. Now, what is it used for? All right, 2 more non-standard forms that we're going to look at. You should recognize them. This is slope-intercept form, skill number 39. All right, big deal. This guy here, y minus y1 equals slope times, should be parentheses here, x minus x1. Okay, this right here, not in standard form. It is in point slope form. That's skill number 29. So you should have dealt with both of these skills before you get to 48. If you run into some issues, you might want to go back to those skills to review some things. Anyway, long story short, These are the three. Standard form, slope-intercept form, point-slope form are the three main ways that we choose to write linear equations in Algebra 1. Why is standard form called standard? It's called standard for a number of different reasons. We'll just look at a few of them. Standard is the most natural way to write certain equations when you're given a word situation. So we got Tabitha sold a certain number of sneakers for $60 each and a different number of socks for $11 each. Altogether, she made $634. Okay, if I wanted to represent that word situation in numbers, the most natural way for me to do it would be to say, I'm going to call my sneakers, all right, the number of sneakers I sell, K. I'm going to call the number of socks I sell, C. And $60 times, let me take the dollar sign out, $60 times how many sneakers she sold, plus $11 times how many socks she sold equals $634. Okay, so standard format, standard form, right? Instead of X and Y, we got K and C, but standard form of the linear equation. Okay, we have coefficient, we got all our variables on one side, we have a regular number on the other side, but it was just natural to write the situation up this way. All right, standard form. Same kind of thing down here. We're going to have to nail 5 of the long boards and 3 of the short boards along the base of this wall to generate a length of 42 feet. So we've got some boards, some long boards, some short boards. Maybe we'll say that the long boards are length X and the short boards are length Y. We're going to put together 5 times the length of the long boards plus 3 times the length of the short boards, and all together that length is going to be 42 feet. So once again, natural to think of our unknown values together, our fully defined value on the other side of the equal sign, and this is just standard form. Okay, so that's one reason. A lot of problem context naturally leads you to write out your equations that way. All right, looking forward to the next topic. Standard form is going to be the easiest way to set up equations if you want to solve a system using what's called elimination. All right, now you haven't dealt with that yet, so I won't deal with it here. You'll see more of it next video, but if you want to solve a system using what's called elimination, standard form is going to be the easiest way to set up your equations. Also, there's a whole branch of mathematics that deals with systems in this way called linear algebra that pretty much standard form is the way to set up your equations when you're dealing with linear algebra. Review, lesson 36, we talked about X and Y intercepts. Lesson 20, we talked about solving this type of thing graphically. Intercepts are very closely related to standard form. Okay, now you know slope-intercept form, the y-intercept is an integral part of that. But for these guys, basically, and we looked at this when you were in lesson 36, how do you find your x and y intercepts for equations? you find your x-intercept. Let's look at this top equation. You find your x-intercept by making y be 0. So 10x equals 15. We basically just drop out the y term. That means divide both sides by 10. X is going to have to be 1.5. That tells me that I'm crossing the x-axis at 1.5. Okay? My y-intercept for that red equation, I'm going to let x equal 0. We got negative 4y equals 15. Divide both sides by negative 4, and we'll get y equals negative 3.75. Right around there. Okay? So it's very easy to find the x and the y intercepts from standard form because you get to drop out a variable and just do a simple division. Okay? This bottom equation, 5x's equals 30. If I drop out my y component, x-intercept is 6. I'm going to use yellow for that because this is green. So x-intercept right around here. For my y-intercept, drop out the x term. 9y equals 30. Divide both sides by 9. Y equals 3.3. Repeating. Right around there. Okay, so very easy to find our intercepts in standard form. Why am I saying review 20? I guess just because when you got two lines together, if you want to find out the thing that solves the system, you're looking for where do the two lines cross each other. Okay, so standard form interconnected with a whole lot of topics that we've already looked at. Now, question. What if we already have the line on the graph and we want to work backwards? We want to get standard form of an equation. All right. Also, pretty simple to use intercepts. So I'm going to look at this pink line. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4. A y-intercept at 4. And an x-intercept at 7. Okay? Now this is what I'm going to do for standard form. I'm going to multiply the values of my intercepts together. It's going to be my c value. I'm going to reverse them. Okay, so I'm going to say 4 x's plus 7 y's equals 28. All right, and if you look at this, when x is 0, y is 4. When y is 0, x is 7. Okay? When y is 0, x is 7. So it's a very simple way to create an equation in standard form from a graph. Hit pause, see if you can do that with the blue line, and then we'll talk about this white one. All right, so the blue one is what you should have come out with. Y-intercepts, -3. X-intercepts, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. If I want to put this into standard form, I'm going to multiply my intercepts together. So -3 times -3 times 9 is -27 equals And I'm going to reverse them for coefficients. So I'm going to have negative 3 times x plus 9 times y. All right, my x-intercepts multiplying my y, and my y-intercepts multiplying my x. Multiply both of them together to get the constant. All right, now, this is not yet in standard form because two things. 3 divides all 3 of those things, and the x term is not allowed to have a negative coefficient. So I'm going to divide everything by negative 3. We'll have x plus, or x minus 3y equals 9. Okay, that's standard form for the blue line. All right, and if you look, double check with your intercepts. When x is 0, y is negative 3. Negative 3 times negative 3 is positive 9. When y is 0, x is 9. All right, x equals 9. Okay, so that is, if you can find the x and y intercepts, it's very easy to write an equation in standard form. If you cannot find the x and y intercepts, either because your intercept is between two numbers and you can't figure out if it's exactly half or 3/4 or 1/4, or because you can't see where does the line cross one of your axes, then what you're going to have to do is fall back on lesson number 29 or lesson number 39 and write the equation in a different format. Okay, so for this particular one, I have a point negative 7, 3 is a point on the white line. The slope of the white line is 5. All right, up 5, forward 1. So point slope form would tell me y minus the y value equals slope times x minus the x value. All right, that's point slope form. This is from lesson 29. Then I can use some algebra to rearrange these things to get this into standard form. So I would distribute my 5 because I want to get rid of these parentheses. We'll have 5x's plus 35 equals y minus 3. I want to get all of my variable terms to the left. I want to get all of my constants to the right. So I would add 3 to both sides. We'll have y equals 5x's plus 38. I will subtract 5x from both sides. We'll have negative 5x's plus y equals 38. And since I want this leading term to be positive, I'll multiply through by negative 1, and we'll have 5x minus y equals negative 38. All right, as our final answer, standard form. Okay, so a little bit tougher, a little bit more difficult if I can't find the intercepts for my line. All right, so this is going to be a topic where you got to be comfortable with this algebraic manipulation. You got to be comfortable with lesson 25 or lesson 24 or lesson 34. All right, so this is pulling together a lot of things. Okay, now the good news is you get to re-practice a lot of your strategies and skills while you're doing this, and you get to feel like a genius while you're thriving on topic 48. Let's keep moving. Okay, we just showed kind of sort of how can you manipulate algebraically from my other formats to get to standard form? You're going, if you've got parentheses, distribute. If you don't want to deal with denominators, you can multiply everything. If you don't want to deal with fractions, you can multiply everything by that denominator, right? 4 times this thing will give me 3x minus 5. All right, 4 times each of those things will give me 4y minus 24. Distribute 3x's minus 15. Bring my variable terms over here, bring my number terms over there. So we're going to add 24 to both sides. We're going to subtract 3x from both sides. We're going to end up with negative 3x plus 4y equals positive 9. And then once again, I don't want my leading term to be negative, so I'm going to reverse all the signs. I'm going to multiply by negative 1, reverse all the signs. 3x's minus 4y's equals negative 9. Standard form of that equation. Okay? Same equation, different format. Same equation, different format. Any numbers, x and y, that solve this in blue will solve that in green. Okay? Same equation, different format. From slope-intercept form, it's a little bit simpler. Add this. So both sides will have y. My fault. Let me write my x out in front. 1/3 x plus y equals 2. Okay. Multiply through by 3 so that we can get rid of the fraction. We'll have x plus 3y equals 6. All right, so slope-intercept form, it's a little easier to transition from there to standard form than it is from point-slope form. Last component that you got to be able to deal with standard form is, I want you, if you're given something in standard form, to turn it into the other forms. So if I want to turn this into, usually the easiest form to go to from standard form is going to be slope-intercept form, which means basically you just isolate y. Okay, so I want to get y by itself. I will subtract 7x from both sides. And we'll have negative 2y equals 8 minus 7x. Then divided by negative 2, we'll have y equals negative 4 plus 3.5x. Okay, and if I really want to have it in slope-intercept form, I gotta reverse these so the x term's in front. Y equals 3.5x minus 4. All right, slope-intercept form. The y-intercept is negative 4. The slope is 3.5. From there, it's very simple to turn this into point-slope form. Just pick a number to be x. So let's say we pick x is 8. All right, 3.5 times 8 minus 4 will give me y. When x is 8, y is 24 plus 4 is 28 minus 4 is 24. All right, when x is 8, y is 24. I have already my slope. That's a point. I can write point slope form pretty easily. All right, y minus my y value equals slope times x minus my x value. All right, point slope form. There we are. All right, see if you can do the same thing with what's in green. First, turn it into slope-intercept form, then turn it into point-slope form. Hit pause and try that. Check yourself against what I do. Okay, we want to isolate y. I'm going to be a little smarter this time. I'm going to subtract 10x from both sides, but I'm going to keep my x in the front. So 4y's equals negative 10x's minus 8. Divide both sides by 4 because we're still trying to get y by itself. Y equals negative 10 divided by 4 is negative 2.5. X is negative 8 divided by 4 is minus 2. Okay? That is slope-intercept form. The slope is negative 2.5 because it's the thing that's multiplying x. The y-intercept is minus 2, negative 2. If I want to turn this into point slope form, I'm going to need a point. So I'm going to pick a number to be x. Let's say x is negative 2. All right. What is y when x is negative 2? Negative 2.5 times negative 2 is positive 5. Minus 2 is 3. All right. When x is negative 2, y is 3. And then point slope form, y minus the y value, so y minus 3 equals slope negative 2.5 times x minus the x value. So minus negative 2 is the same as plus 2. This is point slope form. Again, what is in green, what is in yellow, what is in red are all the same line when you graph them. They all have the same answers for x and y all the way along their run. All right, all the way along their rise and run. Right, same answers for x and y. If you made a table of values for what's in red, yellow, and green, you will get the same answers. Okay, it's just 3 different formats, 3 different ways of writing them. All right. Like a first, middle, and last name, maybe, all the same person. I know that's a lot to take in, but if you've gotten this far into the year, you can definitely handle it. It's just going to pull together a lot of the different ideas that we've already been working with and you've already shown mastery of.